A very pleasant good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Rainbow Banquet Hall in Altona, New York for the 2011 Airborne Speedway Banquet of Champions. I'm Rick Knowles, joined along with Rob Knowles, and our special guest at this time is Airborne Speedway promoter Mike Perotti. And Mike, 2011, a banner season once again at the Big A.
It was awesome. You know, every year just keeps getting bigger and better, and I can't wait till next year.
With 2011, we've seen great crowds, great car counts. The crowd fireworks night was unbelievable. Road backups getting into the place. Would you say, in your estimation, that 2011 was probably the best season you've had yet?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it was both in attendance and car count wise. Our overall car count was similar to what it was the year before. Our modified car count was up actually. We ran, I think our smallest number was 28, and we only had that the last 2 weeks of the season. Other than that, it was 30 or above.
One of the things that we often do when we have this interview at the end of the year is we kind of break down the divisions and go division by division and assess how things progress. You just talked about the Ernie's Discount Tools Modified division, how the car count was up. Competition seemed to increase. It was great to see a driver like Mike Wells get his first career victory after 3 years of trying. I still think that was probably the largest applause that we heard all season long. A number of the fans in the stands were on their feet. Another fine year for the Ernie's Discount Tools Modified division. Talk about them specifically.
Well, we made some changes last year with limiting the RPM, and that was the biggest change in that division. It brought everybody to the same level as far as RPM is concerned and motors. You know, we still had the good guys still won 4 or 5 races, not the good guys. You know, Martin and Pat, the guys that had won 4 or 5 the years before, but had pretty much dominated. They didn't dominate. They still won the same number of races, but they worked a lot harder to get there. And the racing, the competition throughout the whole season, if you look at the lap times, it closed it up enormously. You know, it made a whole lot of guys more competitive, and it just made for better racing.
So as you look at the Ernie's Discount Tools Modified division, certainly another banner year, a lot of success in that division. The J&S Steel Sportsman division, Robin Wood and Bucko Branham, again, a solid season, winning a lot of races. We saw some other drivers as well break into victory lane. Talk about things in the Sportsman class.
Well, we have some pretty big changes in store for that division next year. You know, we have some combination races with Santa Stash. They came down to our place one time this year and brought 8 or 10 cars, and it was a really good show. For spectators, maybe our local guys didn't do well because their tires, they had more of an advantage. But this year we're going to run the same tire. We got some other suspension changes that we're doing, and I'm sure that our guys will run right up front. Although Bucko won the race last year, it's just a matter of he put on the same tires. So, you know, we got some big paying races for those guys. This new tire is going to really help those cars, make it more stable. There was a lot of wrecks and a lot of equipment torn up in that class last year. So that is one of the reasons why we're going to a better tire, a bigger tire, that'll get them more hooked up and make the cars more stable.
A division that has been known for its parity, its close racing, and level playing field and competition. The Renegade Division. We saw, again, a couple of drivers, especially Robert Gordon at the beginning of the year, had a lot of success. We saw a number of drivers, again, break into victory lane. Kevin Boutin was able to repeat as champion in that division. But that's a division, it's been a recipe for success. And is that one that you just don't mess with at this point because it is such good racing?
It's funny that you say that. I just saw Kevin Boutin, and that division is arguably the best division that we have. Many people think it is. But certainly is a great division. And I talked to Kevin and his father. I said, well, what do you think about any rule changes? You think we should change anything? And they said, I don't think we should change anything. And that's my feeling exactly. So, you know, you got a class, why change something? You got a class that's so competitive and so entertaining. You know, we're just going to leave it the way it is and hope for another great year with those guys.
4-cylinder divisions at Airborne at times have been quite a bit of a headache to you. I don't think it was as bad this year, but certainly the competition in the mini-modified division of the Bombers was quite good. But perhaps some changes on the horizon for those two divisions?
Yeah, we're working on that now. It's just a little premature for us to be able to announce anything. But they're not really, you know, it's really the same thing with those guys every year. And what we forget is that we have such good racing in all the other divisions that is a beginner class. You know, that's where guys learn. So it's going to be kind of ragged. But every year, if you'll notice, about halfway through the season, we're really fed up. I was ready to throw them all out halfway through the season. But all of a sudden, it's like a switch comes on, and then all of a sudden, those guys are racing green and checker, you know, and they put on some of the best racing. So I have to remind myself that those are beginner divisions, and have to be patient with those guys, and they really do get it together by the mid-season each year.
Now, one change that you've already announced for the 2012 season, something that has been received very well from everyone I've talked to, is the additions of Sportsman modifieds.
It's unbelievable. You know, I've had this in my mind for a few years now, and decided this year was the year to do it. As you saw, that we had a race September 11th with those guys, and it was pretty popular. But what it's doing is not necessarily a lot of guys moving from other divisions into that division, but I've heard from so many different people that are buying cars that haven't raced there before. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a training ground for the modified division. That's something that we don't have. If a guy wants to run a modified now, he just jumps in there, and it's really really tough for him to be able to compete. And it's just such a tough division. So this is really going to be a training division, and I think it's going to be a hugely popular division as well.
Why was now the right time to bring that division in?
Because of what's going on, you know, I try to plan a few years down the road, and with the economy the way it is, I don't, you know, it's really hard to maintain the cost of running a modified, and I see a lot of guys that are wanting to race modified type cars but just can't afford it, and it's just the feedback that I get from guys, and when I announce this, every day I've had phone calls, so it's mostly because of the feedback that I get from racers that want to race but can't afford a $20,000 modified model.
Is there any concern that it might have maybe a little bit of a negative impact on some of the other divisions? Like, for example, might we see a driver or two move from the J&S Steel Sportsman division into this new Sportsman modified?
I'm sure we will. I know Jimmy Bushy has talked about moving up and a few others, but I also know guys that are jumping into that division. It's having less of an effect than I thought it would at this point. It's mostly new guys getting involved, and I'm really pleasantly surprised about that. I was worried about guys coming out of the modified and dropping down, and Sportsman guys dropping up or moving up. But it's been only 2 or 3 out of each division so far, so that's pretty encouraging.
Well, I think it's going to be neat to see drivers come from that division and make the move up to the modified ranks, because if you look at it, we haven't had a lot of drivers jump into the modifieds from some of our other divisions, and now this is it's a training ground for them. They get to work on the modified cars. It's more affordable for them at the beginning, and now once they really get used to those race cars, it's going to be a more logical jump.
Absolutely, and I think that you know, if you can drive a Sportsman, you know, you'll learn a ton racing the Sportsman. If you decide to get into a modified, it's the same car with more motor. You just got to adjust to the motor, which is really not that hard. Once you get all the basics down, it's not that hard. You know, if you jump into it without the basics, then it's hard.
I know last year, as well as the last number of years, you've brought in some outside organizations, which I think really supplements our regular program really nicely. I'm sure you've been working on those types of things already. Any type of preview that you can give us in terms of groups that we might see again, touring series that may pay a visit to Airborne again?
Actually, I'm taking a different approach with that this year. I don't plan on having any super modifieds or asphalt modifieds. You know, they were both good when we had them here, and we may have them again in the future. But my focus right now is to put as much of our money back into our local racers programs as we can to help keep them racing and to build better racing locally. So for this year, you know, we're playing in those Sportsman races in conjunction with Canada. Also, Devil's Bowl is going to remain asphalt, and that may be beneficial to both them and us if we have the same rules, which it looks like we are. So you know, my focus is our local racing program. We'll definitely have ACT back again, but other than that, I think it's just going to be local races with bigger races for our guys and more laps and more money.
Each year, you and Steve and Jamie have made many improvements to the track. Is there anything on the table for the track and the premises for 2012?
I think we're just going to take a breath and race this year. I don't see any major improvements. this year. Haven't met with those guys, but I don't think that we are doing anything major this year. Just going to continue working on the racing program and putting people in the stands.
Let's talk about the go-kart track that was added this season. Certainly looked as though it was in full swing by the time we hit the end of our season, with birthday parties, people there all week long. Certainly that's something that worked out well for you.
Yeah, it worked out very well. We thought it would, and it did. You know, we had first day it opened, it was popular. You know, and it's been popular ever since. It's been a great asset to the Speedway. It's a lot of fun. The racers go over and race against the fans, and we do a lot of birthday parties and things like that. It's, you know, it runs all night long. When the races are going on, there's karts racing all night long. It's a pretty neat deal.
We're going to put you on the spot with our final question. As we tape this, it's Game 7 of the World Series. St. Louis Cardinals, Texas Rangers.
I didn't even know who either one of them are. All I'm thinking about is Martinsville and this banquet.
Well, it's close to Texas, so we'll give you the Rangers.
I'll take the Rangers. That's cool. If Boston's not in it, or the Yankees, I don't even know anything about it.
That's Mike Prati, the promoter.
You forgot your name already, Mike.
We'll be back with the 2011 Airborne Speedway Banquet of Champions Awards ceremony in just a moment.
Deservedly do so. The downside is so many other people that are deserving of these awards do not get them because we can't give all awards for everyone. So if you do not receive one this year, remember, try to take a step farther next year, do your homework, be a little bit tougher on your team, manage it a little better, and possibly next year you'll be coming on stage to accept one of these awards. A few of our important people. And have everyone's attention, please. Some of our people that are with us along the way, if it wasn't for them, we'd never be able to put on this banquet. And one person that's been with us for many, many years, and he does all your awards all year long. If you're on a podium finish in the top 3, he does our go-kart track racing awards, and he also does all these beautiful trophies and awards that you see behind me. Let's have a great round of applause for Mr. Gary Bird. Also, 2 other people that do a great job at what they're doing. And all these checks that will be handed out in cash tonight for all of these drivers' awards. If it wasn't for these 2 ladies, we wouldn't be having them. And that's our 50-50 girls, Linda and Justine Snow. And now, a great special thanks to all our division sponsors. Jack and Andrea Fisher from Plattsburgh Distributing. Mike Watts Jr. and Rick Woodcock of Versatile Trailer Sales. Discount Tools. Jeff and Sue Sears from J&S Steel. Scott and Jody Carpenter from the Econo Lodge. And Steve and Carol Carpenter from the Liquor and Wine Warehouse. Now I would like to introduce a person that's been with Airborne the last few years, and he does an exceptionally good job at what he does. Our marketing director for Airborne Speedway, Mr. Sherm Hamill.
First thing I'd like to do is thank everyone, every racer, every race team, everyone that's involved with racing at Airborne Speedway. You guys have really made my job a lot easier. You know, we go out there and we get these sponsors and such, and it's not just my good looks and charm that gets it. It's the fact that it's the fact that you guys put on such a great show. People want to come and see you guys race. And it's just a combination of everything that goes along with everything that I do. One of the things that I've heard, you know, over the last couple of years or so, whatever, which is not a bad thing, is that if I'm out there, you know, starting in November and right through into the race season and such, you know, picking up sponsors and picking up advertisers for the track, and you guys, of course, are all over the sponsors also. And you know, I know it makes it a little bit hard on you guys because, again, you guys are out there looking for a few sponsors. I'm looking out for a lot of sponsors. We want to make sure that we've got a facility and sponsors to put these races on, so you guys have a facility of quality that you're seeing, and it's only due to these sponsors. But one of the things that I did do a little different this year, and actually, as a fellow that's sitting over here to my right, Jeff Sears, one day we were in his office talking about what we could do for J&S Steel, and Jeff said, you know, why don't we look at doing some extra prize money, point money, whatever. And that's where we came up with the J&S Steel. He added $1,000 bonus into the point fund, and then Ernie Cologne, Ernie's Discount Tools, talked with Ernie, and we did the same thing for the modified guys. So look at it as helping you guys out by getting some of the money back to you guys and helping you out put together your race cars like you do. And, about midway through the season, a new sponsor of ours, Going in Water, came to me and said, geez, what are you guys going to do with the Renegades? What can we do to help those guys out? And we came up with, I believe you guys remember, they had this hot air balloon last year. You must have seen it. It was really huge. It was a lot of fun. It was great. And we sold raffle tickets on that. Took in like $250, which was not as much as we had expected. And this past week, Everett from Culligan gave me a call and said, I'm sending you guys another check for $250. So, again, that $500 will go into the Renegade point fund. So I just want to know that we're trying to give back to you guys extra through our sponsors and through the help of our sponsors. And just to show you guys how much we really do appreciate the great job you guys do. So, thank you very much. Actually, there is two things. I am running for county legislator. Actually, I did forget the most important part. I am supposed to introduce our track race promoter, Mike Bride.
Thank you.
guys sacrifice a bit for every next weekend. It's a pleasure working with you, and I look forward to the future. It's my pleasure to introduce to you our guest speaker, a man who's been around our sport since the early 60s and has driven every kind of race car, both on dirt and asphalt, and has won races in all 4 decades that he has competed. Lou Boyd is a Harvard graduate. He's a well-known writer, public speaker, and consultant in the energy and environmental field, both here in the States and abroad. Lou is also the owner of Coastal 181, a publisher and one of the country's largest distributors of motorsports titles. Over the years, Lou has written for Stock Car magazine and was the editor-at-large for Speedway Illustrated. He appears regularly on TV and radio, especially on subjects relating to motorsports. Many of you know that Airborne was featured in February this year in Speedway Illustrated. As you can see on the magazines on your tables, there's been another story done about us in November. 2 times in 1 year. Most tracks never get in there. Lou was the one that was responsible for that. He came here a couple of years ago and went back and told the Speedway editor and part owner, partner about Airborne that he should come here. So we owe him a great deal of thanks for that. Lou is one of the most diverse men that I have met. As I said, a Harvard graduate, writer, publisher, environmental and energy expert, and a race car driver. A colorful with that. For whatever reason, Lou has raced under several different assumed names. Finch Fenton, Mudslide Slim, and one time as Batman, complete with a mask and cape. I don't know if I'm supposed to tell all this. He's won 33 main events in his career. Equally impressive to me, in my book, is that the fact that he's flipped over 17 times. He says that is why the number on his car is 181, so you can read it whether it's on its wheels or upside down. It's the same. Please welcome Mr. Frederickson.
Well, my goodness, it sure is fun to be here, and I really appreciate my buddy Mike inviting me up, and I thank Steve Fuller, everybody involved with this incredible track. I certainly, before anything else, congratulate Martin and Speedy, John Michael, Kevin. We'll get to you guys in a little bit. I thought a lot about what I was going to talk to you about tonight, and I certainly can't talk about my own racing. And the reason is that there are some guys, other guests here, like John Paul Cabana and Tremont, guys who are virtual legends in the United States and in Canada. And by contrast, I think I'm really second fiddle to the brass band. But having said that, I just want to tell you where I'm coming. My first race was in 1962 at a little speedway down in New Hampshire called Hudson. And I stole my mother's Comet for the night, telling her that I was going on a date. I went to the U-Haul place, rented a bumper pitch, got a trailer, and went up to Hudson with this bomber from hell. And boy, did I ever get an education. It was unbelievable. I didn't know a spark plug from a ball joint. So the first thing that happened was they had warm-ups for cut-downs. And these things were little square tops going down, 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 going bigger, bigger, and the engines on the way to becoming super modifieds. And it was an issue of testosterone to have a whole lot of carburetors. So some of them had 6, 8 carburetors. And of course, when you do that, putting a linkage in gets to be pretty tricky stuff and pretty sticky stuff. So the first guy I watched on the super modified warm-up went right off the track, through the trees, off the back stretch, the trees going like that, and he just knew himself. So they went and got the little old station wagon that was the ambulance and brought him by, and they couldn't get him out because the pits were so crowded, and they stopped right in front of my car for me to watch this. And I said, where am I? But then it got even more intense. There was a guy with a mono car, about a 37 Plymouth with about 8 doors, one of those huge old sedans. And he went out and he was a case. He wore his Bruno helmet all the time. He had clothes that were even older than his Plymouth sedan. And he came in after warm-ups and this thing wasn't running for breath. So you know what he did? He turned the car upside down in the pins. He took off the oil pan. He took a torch, cut the rod with the offending cylinder, pulled it out, put the oil pan back on, turned the car over, and went out and raced. And I thought, well, this is really something. I don't know how it's going to work out. That lasted a long time. I raced for 45 years, and I really had a hell of a time. But I'll tell you this, I did set the world on fire. And I was reminded of that quite recently. We were down at Motorsports, that's the area auto racing show in Pennsylvania a couple of years ago, and I'm sure you guys know the name Frankie Schneider. Well, he's a good old dirt boy of the first nature and the racing workout. And he came to sign books along with Doug Wolfgang, the sprint car guy. So Frankie comes into the booth, and Frankie's always been a bit of a partier, and I think he probably had a couple of analyzers in before he even got there. And so he walks up to me and he says, who the hell are you? And I said, well, Frankie, this is the book company, and you might remember that you helped us fight a book quite a bit when we were putting some of these books together. And he said, oh yeah? He said, did I ever see you at the racetrack? And I said, yeah, Frankie, as a matter of fact, you did. Way back around 1972, I drove all the way from Newburyport, Massachusetts, down to Nassau Speedway. And you and I started next to each other on the heat, Frankie, and I spun out. And you know what happened? You came and shook your head after when you came around. And I said, Frank, do you have any idea what that did to a kid like me to have Frankie Schneider shake his head at me? You know what he said? He said, where did you say you're from? And I said, Massachusetts. He said, never heard. So I can't talk about my own racing career, but I'm a lucky guy because I do get to travel all around the country and with my energy business, and I'm a part owner of Speedway Illustrated, so I work with Carl Frederickson, Dick Werner, and I do writing for Postal 181. So I see a lot. And what I can tell you about is some of the stuff I've seen this year that you might not have seen because you're so concentrated on the school track where you guys race. Let's start out at the motorsport show that Gator puts on in the spring. I'm sure some of you have been there. Well, last year in 2000 and this year in 2011, the whole atmosphere was pretty blue. People just think the economy stinks, racing is going to be terrible, what are we going to do? But they just can't. And you know, once in a while you have one of those things happen. Somebody says a sentence that really sticks you in the mind, or you smell something that really hits you, or you see something that really moves you. Well, that's what happened. You guys know Corky Stockham. He's the guy with the parts peddler show. Well, Corky's a case. He's a pretty colorful guy, and he always has a couple of very colorful women with him. So you always know when he's around. And definitely loves life. Well, can you imagine what Corky's son would be like? Well, I met Corky's son. This is Chris. And Chris is a race car driver, and Corky owns the cars. These are 600 mini sprints and that sort of stuff. Chris wins all the time, but he wrecks a lot. And I think Corky spends a lot of time with his pipe bender working on roll pages. So I asked Chris, I said, Chris, how do you win that much? And he said, I just step on the gas. And And I said, so what's your philosophy as a driver? And he said, let's put it this way. I'd rather get a job than run the bottom. And used to the scene for wheels, but I love it. I'd rather get a job than run the bottom. I thought, let's make that the motto for this year. Racing is good because if you race hard, you go right up to the edge. If you go over the edge, you're toast. If you don't go up to the edge, you're struggling. That's the good part about racing. So, let's go. First race, Volusia. Ever been there? It's the dirt track right near Daytona. When you go to Florida, never mind the tri-oval. Go to Volusia. They've got center steer dirt cars, IMCA dirt cars, they've got sprinters, late models, everything. Well, the World of Outlaw sprinters were there, and the night was pretty heavy. That night of Florida moist nights that makes a lot of horsepower. You want to talk about being on the edge. Paul McMahon was there driving Casey Kane's sprint car, and he went out for his warm-ups. Do you know how fast he went in time trials? Half-mile track, 12.5. That's 147-mile-an-hour average. If he had ever got flipping down that straightaway, he would have ended up in banana field. I just couldn't believe my eyes. And I went over to see Paul after the race, and I said, Paul, how did that feel? He said, well, I guess it was a little white knuckle. Well, I guess it was. It sure was watching it. And I just couldn't get it through my head. So a little later, I called Jason Myers. He's the guy who's leading points, I believe, now in the World of Outlaws. And he said, wow, that was something. But listen to this. 2 years ago, we Outlaws went to River City Speedway in North Dakota. He said it had rained all day and the air was heavy, but we had to get it in because it was a one-night show. And the track was just full of moisture. The first person out in that sprint car show was Erin Crowder. She broke the track record. So too did the next 17 guys who came out. It was that fast. And then Jason went out. He turned a 9.01 on a quarter-mile track. Just unthinkable. And he said, you know something? It ain't a lot of fun when they get that fast. He said, in the feature, we were all terrified. He said, I was terrified and I had a right to be. I went end over end, demolished my car, and lost the point lead to 9 shots. Wow, are those guys intense or what? But let's move on. Let's move on to Indianapolis. And the people will be intense too. Do you remember what happened in Indianapolis? Do you remember J.R. Hillebrand? He was the kid nobody knew who, for the last 25 laps, was leading the race. And he came off the second turn on the last lap, down into the third turn, into the fourth turn, the 2000th turn of the day. He was passing a lapped car that was slowing quickly, and he watched it from the in-car video. He took that push, got into the marbles. It was one of those things that took a half an hour. But up he went, caught the wall. He limped down the straightaway against the wall. The whole racing world saying, oh my God. And he lost the Indy 500 by a few feet. The amazing thing was that he was a picture of gracefulness in Victory Circle, on the podium, I mean. He wasn't screaming and yelling and blaming everybody. He just said, can you imagine this? I'm a rookie in Indianapolis. I was in a position to win and I was second. Is that cool or what? Well, it was cool. But here's the real story. J.R. Hillebrand's a 23-year-old kid from California who was really good in go-karts, good in school, and not from a racing family. But in his junior year of high school, he was invited to go racing senior year in England. He applied to colleges, very bright kid, accepted at MIT, Stanford, and Berkeley. 3 of the best schools in the world. He made his decision according to which school would let him go race in Europe. And that was MIT, and they said, come to us whenever you can. So, he goes to races in Europe, does well, gets in the Panther Indy ride, and displaces Dan Weldon in the car. Guess who beat him in Indianapolis? Just by a little bit, Dan Weldon. Well, as you know, Dan Weldon was killed a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas. And guess who was in the hospital as part of the wreck? J.R. Are these guys intense or what? A lighter note. Halfway through the year, Dick Werner and I went to something really interesting called the Climb in the Clouds at Mount Washington. There's a 7.6-mile gravel and asphalt road winding away up that mountain. And believe it or not, they've been racing up that mountain since 1904. What a show it is. Everything from guys with tricked out freight liners that must have profile steering because they run like go-karts up that road, to guys like Travis Pastrana in Red Bull Subarus who just go like the dickens. But you know something? Do you know who had the fastest time that day? A guy who used to race at Airborne in Bush, a guy named Jerry Driscoll. I've got 1 million laps against him down at the old Lakeville Speedway near Rhode Island and Norwood Arena. Jerry's in Vermont now, 70 years old, built this little Corvette kind of thing, pulled a small block out, and whooped them all. Whooped the Super Rally champion from the Isle of Man, all of them. How very cool is that? Now, the next stop was in Grid, Iowa, and at this point you're going to know that I'm really happy about this. I went there primarily not for the races. I went there because that's the site of the annual Hobo Convention. I spent a lot of time riding around on freight trains in my life, something I really liked. And last time I went to the Hobo Convention, I went by the rails. This time I went by rental car, but I'll be honest with you, I hit it down the street. But it was really a hoot. Those guys really had a great time. And as part of the Hobo Convention, there's something called the Night of 1,000 Stars, which is at the local track, Hancock County Speedway. This track is Plattsburgh dirt in Iowa. Beautiful graduated banking, and you love it. The backstretch fences of cornfield, 150 cars, packed stands, but the coolest thing, 50-lap feature, imagine this, in the middle of the feature, they stop the cars on the front stretch, blow a whistle. The teams can come out of the pits, do whatever they want to the cars. Jack them up, change the engines, whatever they want, right in front of the grandstand. 10 minutes. Then the whistle blows, everybody's back into the pits, and the next 25 laps. It was fabulous. You should have seen it. And the highlight of the whole thing is that they had one of those wonderful, spectacular multi-flip wrecks. A couple of guys got banged up, but not really hurt. Not a lot of cars get destroyed. Just such a cool night of racing. Then, towards the end of the season, New Hampshire International. You know something, maybe it's me, but maybe NASCAR's getting a little bit tired. Do you know that you could have gotten into New Hampshire on Sunday for the Cup race for $19 and they would have given you a t-shirt as well? It's beginning to get a little bit old, and I hate to see racing that's that follow the leader and that paved by dollar bills and corporate sponsorships. And the sad part, though, was the 3 guys that I think put on the best show were Bobby Santos and the Modifieds. Here's a Northeastern kid who has done everything. Featherweight champion last year, and I bet you guys don't even know that this year, in his spare time, he was USAC's sprint car pavement champion. He had a car that wasn't running for shit, to be honest with you. Somehow he got lead before it gave up completely. And then there are two others. Eddie McDonald, a guy from down my way who ran the act race and won it. This guy is superhuman. He doesn't have that need to lift going into the corner that a lot of us have. Excellent race car driver. He dueled for 10 laps in that act race against Nick Sweet. Side by side, he's a kid from Barry. Something that no two cup drivers have ever been able to do in the history of New Hampshire. But you know the sad part of it? The fact is, none of these kids will ever make it to the victory. They'll never make it to Sunday racing. And it really, really made me sad. It made me sort of long for the short track. And that gets us back to Frederickson. And that gets us back to what you guys do. I hope you realize how much the eyes of the country are on Airborne Speedway. You have got something special. I don't know if it's the graduated banking, if it's those dirt cars so high up in the air, if it's your track promoter, if it's you as a special group of people, but that racing is great, and people know it. When I came, I couldn't believe the modifieds. I couldn't believe the slipping and sliding. I've got a big box center steel modified in my garage, and I took it up to New Hampshire not long ago. And I was telling Mike, you should have seen me going down that front stretch. I was like a hockey puck between the infield fence and the guardrail on the other side. What a ride! And you guys do it so well. It is so cool. And you know something else? There's that little bit of looseness that you get when you go a little bit too hard. You know, the kind of stuff that Cam Brady was telling me about. He says, I can get to 16.5, but getting down 16.2, I got to get a little animalistic, a little bit aggressive. And smoke comes off that right rear tire sometimes. And he said, you know, the cool part of it is, Mike treats us like humans, even if we're not. No, I thought that's really cool. I got to get some pictures of those cars smoking on the right rear. So you know what I did? I went over to see Andy Watts, and I said, Andy, I need some pictures of right rear smoke. I think that's the silver badge of courage. And you know what Andy said? He said, nobody wants to have pictures of their cars smoking. They want to have them beautiful for their sponsors. Well, I'll tell you this. Never mind that. Give your sponsor, give those fans a show. That's what racing's all about. Mix it up, make it happen. That's what Plattsburgh should be all about. I think that you guys really do have a chance to bring back the art of Saturday night. That is so very important for racing, and it's important for me. A lot of people buy my racing books, and a lot of them say this. You know something? When I raced, it was the best time of my life, and I didn't even really realize it at the time. I realize it now. So when you go back home tonight, you look yourselves in the mirror, and you say, thank you that I'm a racer. Thank you that I can go back to Airborne Speedway again next year. And as we go through the winter months, and as we go through January, and even up here in the North Country, as the sun comes up a little higher in the sky again, I want you to do this. I want you to consider coming and see me at the book table over at the Gator Show. But if you can, think about Chris Stoppard. Think about what he's saying and how true it is. I'd rather get a job than drive. I think that's really cool. Let's let that one last for another year. And in the meantime, I wish you all the happiest of the holiday season.
Leon Gagno, complete team, to Jason Guerin, happy 30th birthday. And from all the Airborne Speedway staff, officials, fans, and everyone knows that the Watts family, Andy Watts, happy 30th birthday tomorrow. Okay, we're going to start out with our bomber division. We have the top 15 in each class. There's a few of our bombers that are not here with us, but we'll announce their points and who they are. This first gentleman's not with us. He finished in 15th spot. He had 200 points. He was a driver of the number 74, Jeff St. John. Okay, I'm sorry, Jeff. They said Jeff did show up. And also, if I could get all the bomber drivers that are here, if you could come around to the right side of the stage and get in a line, it makes our award ceremony flow through a lot smoother. So all bomber drivers that are here, please come forward and come over to the right side of the stage. Congratulations, Jeff. I'm sorry. Finishing in 14th, a driver that was not able to be with us tonight. He had 226 points. Was the number 44, Brandon Nolan. Finishing in 13th, this driver had 254 points. The number 24 of Walt Parrott. Finishing in 12th, 267 points, number 60, Chad Endry. Finishing in 11th, with 300 points, a lot of people's heard this name around, the number 13, Jason Branham. Finishing in 10th, with 318 points. He said his major sponsors are Mom and Dad. The driver of the number 77 is Joe Fountain. Finishing in 9th with 369 points, the 14B of Dave Brissett. Finishing in 8th with 501 points, the number 16, Dale O'Neill. Finishing in 7th with 526 points, the number 8, Renegade Precision Auto Body, Tyler Brissett. Finishing in 6th with 545 points. He has the Lacquer Shop Sales Construction, number 21. It's Travis Sherman. Finishing in 5th with 548 points. He's in the Reed Speed Shop, Fastenal, number 3, Rob Sign. Finishing in 4th with 574 points, the number 58 of Bill Joyle Sr. Finishing in 3rd, 604 points, the number 72, Curtis LaGrave Jr. Finishing in 2nd with 608 points, the Body Art Tattoo, Garso's Auto Sales, number 88, Josh Durabab. And ladies and gentlemen, your bomber, track champion for 2011. He had 672 points. He drives a BMW Post 1505 Brissett Racing, number 14, John Michael Brissett. Finishing in 11th with 419 points, he was the driver of the 69, John Bradley. And now your top 10, finishing in 10th with 469 points, the Jim Drywalling number 02 of Eric O'Neill. Finishing in 9th with 486 points, the Lager Shot Body Shop, Bushy's Auto Repair number 21, it's Scott Rittner. Finishing in 8th with 492 points, the Walter Bruno Incorporated number 13, it's Josh LaBarnway. Finishing in 7th with 498 points, it's the number 4 of Chris LaVere. Finishing in 6th with 499 points, the Bob's Truckin' Marsha Holmes, number 20, Jamie LaBellan. Now your top 5 in the mini-mods. Finishing in 5th with 526 points. It's the Intra-Pack Karen's Cups, number 45B, Josh Laporte. Finishing in 4th with 582 points. It's your Ernie Discount Tools, Mountain Valley Integrated Solutions, number 7, Josh LeClaire. Finishing in 3rd with 626 points, the Bob's Truckin' Cheetah Chassis, number 77, Chris Clark. Finishing in 2nd. Only 19 points out of the championship spot. He drives the Sales Construction, Ben Lawrence Excavation, number 47. It's Eric Sale. Ladies and gentlemen, your Renegade Drag Champion with 666 points, the BC Johnson Electric Grand Hill Painters, number 03, they call it Speedy Preston. Okay, all Renegade drivers, if you could please come to the right-hand side of the stage, and with the Renegade Award. He's not with us this evening. It's the driver of the number 02, Jimmy Collins. Finishing in 14th, he had 370 points. He says his major sponsors, Uncle Sam. How about it for the number 2? They call him the Middleman. Finishing in 13th, another driver not with us this evening with 402 points, the number 10 of Josh Allen. Finishing in 12th, 426 points, the number 3 of Dave Drake. Now, if you don't think this class wasn't tough, the next 4 positions in a row are all rookies in this class. and they were all within 70 points of each other, finishing at 11. He had 428 points. It's the Vacuum City DMO Motors number 08 of Andrew Bruno. Finishing in 10th with 461 points. It's the Adirondack Siding Daniel Signs number 70, Jason McClatchy. Finishing in 9th with 480 points, it was the number 86 of Rick Donor. Finishing in 8th, he had 503 points. It was the number 357, Kurt Seymour Jr. And accepting the award will be his son. And he has a short speech for us.
But it seems that my two kidney stones that are shaking me are keeping me from these awesome festivities. So, I would first like to congratulate Kevin Bruno and his crew on the back-to-back championship run. Great run. Wow, what a year in our division as a rookie. I had so much fun racing with my friends, veterans, rookies, and of course, men. When I came into Renegades, I didn't know what to expect, and to be honest, I was very nervous with the questions in my head like, can I move up too quickly? Can I afford racing in this class? Can I be competitive? And most importantly, will I have fun? With the help from all the drivers, and I do mean every driver in the Renegades division, I ended up having a great year of racing. Thank you all for your support, especially when I was sick. Thanks for the visits, phone calls, and even on Facebook, you were able to keep my spirits up and make me feel like I was truly in your thoughts and prayers. So to try to keep this short and sweet, I will close with a special thanks to the two drivers that took the extra time to teach me the best way around everyone when all there is to be competitive. Joe Warren, my teammate, and my Buddha, who lived up. Lonnie Rivers for driving for me when I was down and out, carrying the number 57 on his car. My mom, my crew, Gary Hemingway, Tammy Pulsifer, Steve Pylan, Dad, Kurt Sr., Jason Gould, Pops Warren, Short Old Guy Bill, Kyle, my son Kurt, and Kurt. Thank you everyone from Airborne Speedway. Saving the best for last. Thanks to my beautiful wife Gail. Sincerely, Kurt Seymour, 357 million.
Okay, moving on. In our 7th spot, he had 560 points. He drives the Subway Amerigas number 69. They call him Big Daddy, Don Franklin. Finishing in 6th with 562 points. The Shumway Insurance, Leon Blair Contracting, Double Deuces, it's Robbie Apple. Now your top 5 in your Renegades. This driver is 5th with 606 points. He drives the Adirondack Transmission, Brookfield Excavating, number 43, Josh Airy. Your 4th place finisher with 616 points. It's the Fry Hop from Bud Light line number 13, Joe Warren. And now your top three. Your third place finisher at 622 points. It's the Culligan Water, McKee's Pub, finishing in second with 631 points. He drives the H2O well drilling, Premier Paving, number H2O, Robert Gordon. Ladies and gentlemen, your Renegade Drag Champion with 670 points. It's the Quality Cuts Direct Auto Body, number 25 of Kevin Bruno. Now if we can get all our sportsman drivers, please come on up to the right side of the stage. We're going to begin with our sportsman division. Number 44, out of Mooresville, New York, it's Tyler Carey. Finishing in 14th with 359 points, it's the Perkins Excavating, Healthy Builders, number 24, out of Clintonville, New York, Keith Helke. Finishing in 13th, not with us this evening, he has 363 points. It's the number 57 of Howard Stoner. Finishing in 12th with 376 points. It's the North Line Utility, Signs Now, number 68 of Massago, Forks, New York, Jamie Atkins. And I was told by this next individual to all listen closely. This guy had 387 points. That's 11 points more than the gentleman in front of me. He also drives the Signs Down, North Line Utilities, number 4. He is from Osceola Forks, New York. It's the son of Jamie, Brandon Atkins. Finishing in 10th, a driver down with us, he had 414 points. It's the number 86 of Blake Shackman. Finishing in 9th, he had 430 points. The Adirondack Water Systems, Bruno's Repair, number 33 out of Plattsburgh, New York, Travis Bruno. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we had a tie for the 7th position. The first one up at 451 points. It's the Taylor Metal IRC Contracting, number 18, from Mooresville, New York, John Butak. It's the Perkins Chiropractor, Bushy's Auto, number 11 from Moore Sports, New York, Jimmy Bushy. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our top 5 sportsmen with 470 points. It's the mixed leads, Joshua Wyckoff, number 3 from Morrison, New York. It's Danny Sullivan. Finishing in 4th with 598 points. It's the Marsha Holmes, Bud White, Liquor and Wine Warehouse, number 20 from Plattsburgh, New York. They call it Bucko. Finishing in 3rd with 602 points. The Plattsburgh Distributing Warren Tire Center, number 29 from Plattsburgh, Nick Hagelbach. Your number 2 spot with 618 points. It's the Big Oar Supply. Import Fuels, number 19 from Morris, New York, Jamie Bruno. And your number 1 Sportsman driver with 674 points. It's the Ganaka Territorial Bingo, Leland's Barbershop, number 61 from Plattsburgh, New York. They call him Dunwood Robin Wood. If I can get my modified teams to please all the drivers start moving up to the right side of the stage, we can continue on with our modified order. Ladies and gentlemen, along with our modifieds, we have several French-speaking Canadian teams here. We've got a very special guest, Mr. Chris Kraft, who is going to come up after I present the awards in English. He's going to translate it for all you French-speaking people in French. Thank you, Chris. We're going to start out with our 15th place driver, who's not here with us. He's got 391 points. He was from Bloomingdale, New York. He drove the number 55, Matt Woodruff. Finishing at 14th, this gentleman had 405 points. It's the Bushy's Auto Repair, Igor Supply, number 18 from Morris, New York, Chris Payday. The word New York, Chris Payday. Now in 13th, another gentleman that's not here with us this evening. He had 408 points. He drove the Canadian number 1 out of Joliet, Quebec, Pierre Berthiaume. Now finishing in 12th, another gentleman not with us this evening. He had 410 points. He drove the number 38 out of Wilkesboro, New York. It was Mike Finney. Now our 11th place finisher. He had 430 points. He drives the Plattsburgh Radiator Customs and Classics, number C02 from West JC, New York, Fred Riel. The C02 from West JC, New York, Fred Riel. Now your top 10 modifieds. The 10th place finisher had 456 points. He drives the Tri-Tech Incorporated Alternative System 61 points. He drove the Dipro and Mogler Regal Bakery, number 25 out of St. Césaire, Quebec, Maxime Vienne. Bill Vincent, the St. Césaire, Quebec, Maxime Vienne. In seventh, this gentleman, 484 points. He drives the Egglefield Ford, Riley Ford, and Lisa Desautel sponsor number 4 from Shazy, New York, Leon Gagnon. Since I'm about to make that second, I make that 20. Let's get on that. The Shazy, New York, Leon Gagnon. Finishing in 6th, gentleman not able to be with us with 493 points. He drove the number 10 out of Canadian, Quebec, Patrick McGrail. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your top 5 in your modifieds. Finishing in 5th with 512 points. The Gayoso Wine and Spirits, Russo Contracting, number 80 out of Mercerville, New York, Andy Aywad. Mercerville, New York, Andy Haywood. Finishing in 4th with 518 points. It's the Champlain Construction G-Stone Motors, number 78, out of Brandon, Vermont, Vince Quinville. The Brandon, Vermont, Vince Quinville. Now finishing in 3rd, he had 584 points. He drives a Serenite Country Store, Fournier Farm Supply, from Serenite Lake, New York. It was Patrick Dupree, and accepting this award will be Wes Leonard-Moody of Carl. The Serenite Lake, New York, Patrick Dupree. Finishing in 2nd with 594 points. It's the Pulsifer Logging Shamrock Car, number 34, Serenite Lake, New York, George Foley. And ladies and gentlemen, your 2011 modified track champion. He had 620 points. He drives the Gamuts Truck Center, G. Ford Trucking, number 90, out of Napierville, Quebec, Martin Law. You know what that means is that number 10 Quebec, not near wide. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can have a big round of applause for our French-speaking interpreter, Mr. Chris Brown. Thank you, Chris. standings. But if he could top a few ranks along the way, he could have possibly been at least in the top 3, because that's where he was running for a majority of the year. This year's Hard Luck Award goes to the number 8, Tyler Brissett. And now your Rookie of the Year. This driver was a first-time racer in our Bomber Division. He also finished in the top 10 in the point standings. Our 2011 Rookie of the Year is the number 21 of Travis Sherman. Moving on to the mini-mods. Their most improved mini-mod driver. After moving from 9th in the points in 2010 to a top 5 finish in 2011, he had several podium finishes and also he had some feature wins. Your 2011 mini-mod most improved driver is the number 7, Josh LaFleur. Your Hard Luck Award. This driver was always in contention for a top 5 finish, but it seemed to find bad luck along the way. With either a wreck or some mechanical failure, towards the end of the year, completely destroying a race car. He still ended up 6th in the points. Your 2011 Hard Luck Award goes to the number 20 of Jamie LaBellman. And now your Rookie of the Year for your mini-mods. This driver moved up in the mini-mods in 2011 and was a top 5 car in points. He was a top competitor in mini-mod class this year. Rookie of the Year is the 45B of Josh LaPorte. Now moving on to the Renegades. For your most improved Renegade driver. This driver completely destroyed a car in this class in 2010. He came back this year and was a threat to win on many nights, and he also secured himself a top 5 points award. This year's most improved Renegade driver is the number 43, Josh. Your Hard Luck Award. This driver on many nights was working his way through the field, only get collected in something beyond his control. Many times he was running in the top 5, and then he had to either go pit side or to the rear of the field for bad luck. Your 2011 Hard Luck Award goes to the number 69, Big Daddy Don Franklin. Now your Rookie of the Year. We had several rookies in our Renegade class this year. At one point I think we had 7 on the racetrack at one time. This driver moved up from the mini-mods to the Renegade in 2011. He was in the top 10 in points. This driver was running in the front of the pack, or was well on his way to the front on many nights, and always seemed to get collected up into something that was beyond his control. Then when 2 weeks ago he got collected and was in the wall and was hit a second time, completely destroying the car. This year's Hard Luck Award goes to the number 33, Travis Bruno. And now your Rookie of the Year. This driver was always a top competitor in the Renegade class for many years. This year he moved into the Sportsman ranks and was also very competitive, finishing in the top 10 in points. This year's Rookie of the Year is the 21 of Dave. These great prestigious awards for your modified. Your most improved modified driver for 2011. This driver got his first modified feature win in 2011. And up until the last few weeks of the season, if it weren't for a few engine troubles, he was looking at a possible top 10 in points. Your 2011 most improved modified driver is the number 76, Mike Wells. Hard Luck Award. Ladies and gentlemen, this was a tough one to give in this class. This award could have been given to several drivers. Just to name a few was the number 18 of Chris K.A. and the number 55 of Matt Woodruff, who both destroyed cars, totaling their rides in 2011 with wall incidents. The one that stands out the most, that was lowered down as your hard luck driver. This driver went from turn 2 upside down the entire backstretch on his roof earlier in the year. Then he flipped several times off turn 3, completely destroying the car, and he was out for many weeks due to injuries. The 2011 Hard Luck Award goes to the number 46, Michelle Diaz. I was just informed that Mr. Diaz, as soon as the safety crew got to him that night, he flips up the shield and he looks at him and he says, "Time or not." Okay, our Rookie of the Year. This driver got his highest score in the point standings, and he still ended up in the top 10. He's a Rookie of the Airborne, and he drives, or he hails all the way from the Saratoga area. How about it for Chris Bruno?
You needed it, didn't you? Needed it. That's what
You're very different picture. You look like you're fucking pissed off.
yeah, you are. Just the feeling half, or loving feeling half. That's no fun, baby.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our last 3 awards of the evening are some very special awards. We're going to start out with the Sportsman of the Year Award. Sportsman-like conduct is defined as a person who can take loss or defeat without complaint. or victory without glory, and who treats his opponents with fairness, generosity, and courtesy. This driver is definitely a class act. He always helps out anyone who asks, no matter if it's a competitor in his own class racing against him, or someone in any other class. This well-deserved award for Sportsman of the Year goes to your 2010-2011 Renegade Track Champion. Ladies and gentlemen, now our driver of the year.
I'd like to start off by just thanking everybody that works for Airborne, and everybody that has to do with Airborne Speedway. You guys have turned it into a great place to race. We're very honored to be a part of it. It's definitely a big racing family. I'm very honored to win this award 2 years in a row. It means a lot to me and my family. We really enjoy racing, and we appreciate everything that everybody does. Thank you for the competition in Renegade class as well. I didn't get a chance to thank all you guys for that, but it's a great class. You guys are great people. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, the Driver of the Year Award. Our Driver of the Year started out in 2011 behind the 8 ball a little bit. This driver is not used to having to battle from the back, but he did it in fashion this year, with no worries or complaints from him or his team along the way. He just took it 1 week at a time, and when the final checker flag flew, he was voted on as the 2011 Driver of the Year. Let's hear it for Martin Waugh. And just to let you all know, Martin will be moving on to a new venture in 2012. He will be competing in the Canadian NASCAR Series. So we all racers, fans, and officials wish you and your team, Martin, the very best of luck. Your professionalism on and off the track will be greatly missed by all at Airborne. We would like to thank you and your team for all you have done over the years. Good luck to all of you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, our Mike Watts Award. It is fitting that we change the name of the Officials Award to the Mike Watts Award. The description of this award is the exact description that has been used to describe our dear friend, Mike Watts. Several times throughout the years, this award is presented to the person who is willing to help out in whatever capacity they can. This person always carries with them a positive and professional attitude. They have a pride and passion for Airborne in the sport of racing. It is a pleasure to have our 2011 Mike Watts Award recipient, Sally Walker, as part of the Airborne family. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give a great big special thank you. And most of you racing people that are involved with racing or families know Mr. Carl Frederickson. He's the author and author, or editor and author of Speedway Illustrated. Carl heard that, and most of you people probably did, for you that haven't, we were doing a benefit for a racer that's been around Airborne for, I'm guessing, probably 40 years, if not longer, racing himself. And before that, he was involved helping his father race coupe modifieds at Airborne. He was racing himself this year into some real tragic news hit home. One of our favorites, Mr. Craig Ormsby, was diagnosed with follicular lymphoma cancer. He's here with us this evening, and Carl sent a few items because he heard that we were doing a benefit with an auction and stuff. And he said, can you please auction these off at the banquet and give whatever there for money to Craig and his family. So we have a few items that Carl sent us that I'm going to have a quick auction. Please feel free, raise your hand. Whatever we get for these goes to Mr. Craig Ormsby and his family. Carl is a true friend of Airborne and its racers. So let's help him out also by signing up for a subscription to Speedway Illustrated. Remember also that if you sign up and have a membership to Airborne, you will get a free membership to his magazine. So I'm going to do a quick little auction, and whatever we get for these few items, I'll go to Mr. Craig Ormsby. Okay, it's going to start out, he's got us here a pair of Ranger mechanical gloves. They're a pair of wear gloves for teams racing. Who's going to start me out with $5? Who's going to start me out with $5? I got 5, it's going to be 7 now, how about 10? How about 10 back here, now 12 over there, now 15 here, now 17. Now 17, now 20. Now 20, now 2. Now 2. I got 22, now 5. Now 5, I got it, now 7, now 30, now 32, now 35. Now 40. Now 40. Look, I'm up here. Now 40. Now 42. Come on, you people in the back, don't be afraid. Raise your hand. 42. Who's going to give me 45? 45, now 50. Who's going to give me 50? I got 45 over here in my karate. Who's going to give me 50? $45 going once. Don't let your promoter steal them. $45 going twice. This for my karate. $45. Okay, Mike says he's donating them back to do this one more time. Mike says he's definitely offended, ladies and gentlemen. Listen closely. Earlier I had in my little speech that I was going to introduce Mr. Mike Karate as your promoter and hard-working individual. Then I got calls from about 10 different people that knew what I was going to write, and they said, whoa, stop. Mike Karate don't work hard. Oh, I said, hey, I'm sorry. I had to take that out of there. So I told Mike about it. He says, I'm glad you did. I didn't want to be, used to being a hard worker. So he donated them back because he said he don't want to have to work. I'm going to do this again. All right, who's going to give me 20? I got 20 now. Who's going to give me 22 now? 25. 25 over here again now. 30 back to up. 30 now. Another 30 in the back now. 35 here. Well, that's all right. You're close. You should talk to her. There we go. Now you know. Now 40. Now 40. Now 40. Now 40. I got 35. Who's going to be 40? 40. I got 40 way in the back. 45. 50. 55. 60. 60 in the back. 60. 65. 65. What was it? he's our super group. Will be starting up very shortly. Our next items are a Speedway illustrated long sleeve, large shirt, and the hat to go with it. Who's going to start me out with 20 bucks? 20 bucks. I got 20, now 25, now 30, now 35. I got 30 over there on Leslie, now it's going to be 35. I got 30, it's going to be 35, now 40, now 45, now 45 for Wellesley, 45 for Wellesley, 45 back there in front of me. I got you over there, I got 40, now it's going to be 45. 45, I got 45, now 50, now 55 back in the table. 55, now 60, now 60, now 65. I think probably everyone here does. But this year, with us this evening, this gentleman is Mr. Craig Ormsby, and he also would like to say a few words. Again, don't forget Carl Frederickson, Speedway Illustrated Magazine, and also thank you all for taking your time to enjoy this quick little auction for Craig and his family. From all the Airborne staff, Mike Perotti, Steve, Denise Fuller, and everyone involved, thank you all for being here. Thank you for supporting the 2011 season. And not to promote, but please bring a friend next year, bring an extra person to the races, and we hope to see each and every one of you again in 2012.
First one I thought was great. First butterfly when I thought was bigger. When I won the Bush Class in 1989, I thought that was the best thing in the world. When I got sick in June, and I couldn't go to the races anymore, and spent the next 2-3 months mostly sick in the hospital, I found out that more than winning the races, the most important things were the friends I made at the racetracks over the years. The two best, I made 4 really good friends in racing. 2 of them aren't with us anymore, and the other 2 are sitting here tonight, Mike Perotti and Leon Gagno. And they supported me quite a bit in the summer. And everybody else, thank you very much.
Trophy. How many people here would believe a man that's been racing, and also his father that's been around racing for many, many, many years? I mean, he's much older than I am. And would go to the races, and they go out and they're ready to race. They're going good, but they're having some brake problems. So in the pits they come. They're going to put on new calipers. So on the car goes the calipers, the brake pads, everything else. Round, we're going back out, we're going racing. Look out, here we go. Well, this individual isn't a long ways from me. But this special award was made from his crew, probably his wife had a lot to do with this, to him. But here is one of the brake pads for one of the hottest set of brakes at Airborne Speedway, because they're on backwards, Mr. Robin Wood. Change that side. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the car owner for the number 90 Martin Law team just pulled me aside. He said, if you can get at least $200, this is going to go to the Craig Ormsby benefit. He will donate 2 Montreal Canadian hockey tickets, which is valued at a lot more than that, to this auction, as long as we can get over 200. And he said they're worth a lot more than that. Who's going to start me out right now with a $100 bill to start? 100, 110, who's 20, 120, 130, who's 140, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, 230, 250, 275, 300, 350, 375, your tickets.